Cirrus has been with me for about 2.5 years. She is a wild prairie falcon that comes from the West Deserts here in Utah. Every year I do a nest count where I drive around and identify nesting sites for hawks and eagles and falcons and owls and so on. With my state and federal permits, if I find a nest of birds that have more chicks than they can possibly handle, it is perfectly legal for me to take one of the chicks. She was a nest of 5, which is a lot of babies for mom and dad to care for, and on average, about 80% of all wild birds of prey don't survive the first year. So I can pull a young bird from the nest, raise it up, train it, fly it in falconry for a year or 2, and return it back to the wild. And that bird has now, instead of a 20% chance of survival, it has more than a 90% chance of survival. So in essence, we put more birds back in the wild than we take. Well, the prairie falcon is one of the most high-strung, violent, aggressive of the large falcons that we have here in North America. Most falconers don't like them and would rather fly peregrines and gyrs and hybrids and that kind of stuff. So when I got Cirrus, I was trying to come up with a name that would mean calm. And cirrus are these nice, thin, wispy clouds you see off in the sky. And where there are cirrus clouds, the air is usually pretty calm. Where you see big, fluffy, pretty cumulus clouds, that means the air underneath the clouds is turbulent. So I wanted to give her a name that meant calm. Out on the open desert, and I released my falcon, and she circles around, and I'm swinging an object on a string. It's basically it's a leather pigeon. It's a leather sack with leather wings that we tie food onto, and that's her toy. The toy is called a lure, and this is the process that we use to get our birds exercised and physically fit. Now, eagles and hawks and owls are primarily ambush hunters, which basically means they sit somewhere at a vantage point, whether it's up on a cliff or a power pole or up in a tree, and they survey their area looking for opportunities to catch something in as quick and short a flight as possible. Where the falcons will oftentimes leave the cliffs and fly 25 to 50 miles in a big circle, looking for flocks of birds to fly through, and so they require a great deal more fitness and strength in order to do that. And so when I'm swinging the lure, what you'll see is the falcon will chase the lure, and I'll swing the lure out of the way and make the falcon go around a second time, and it comes back and it comes after the lure again, and I swing the lure out of the way. And those are called stoops to the lure. We start by doing that one time, make the bird miss once, and then we increase the number from 1 to 3 to 5 to 10 to 20 to 50, even as much as 100 times, where the bird is diving and climbing, chasing its toy. If it touches the toy, it wins. And so if the bird is doing really, really well, and I want to stoop to the lure 50 times, and it touches the lure on the 10th time, that's the end. It wins. It gets its toy. And so we don't cheat. And the birds get stronger and stronger and faster and more agile and more maneuverable, so that when we are ready to return them back to the wild, they're very, very capable of survival. There is very little relationship between her and the other animals, for the simple fact that these are apex predators. My hawk and falcon would certainly kill each other, and my eagle would find them both delicious. And so we really can't put them in the same chambers together. I would end up with only one big eagle that had a big meal. And obviously that's a very bad thing. Falconry is the most highly regulated. It's extremely complicated to get a falconry license, and it's even more complicated to maintain a falconry license and to fly the birds. But during the hunting season, September through February, we try to get the birds out 4, 5, 6 days a week to get them their exercise and let them be wild, let them fly, let them fulfill their biological destiny by basically being wild birds of prey that allow us to come along and witness this amazing natural spectacle of apex predator hunting their prey. On the off season, the birds cannot be hunted. It's very much illegal. We do not want to take trained hawks or falcons or eagles out into the fields in the spring when babies are being born and parents are on the nest raising young, and we always respect the cycles of life and allow Mother Nature to go through their cycles. And so during the off season, the truth of the matter is the birds get all that they want to eat, and they have no interest in hunting. They're just very large, attractive couch potatoes. They just kind of hang out with us. They all get their personal time every day where I go out and talk to them and pick them up, and it's called manning, where they get to be handled, and through this process they get their health checks and make sure that everything's fine. And then with my falconry birds, because I use them for educational programs, they get the extra socialization skills of being taken several times a week to places, and we do our wildlife programs, and they're wonderful wildlife ambassadors. Falconry really is, if done properly, it really is a 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year lifestyle. I brought a live prairie falcon, a live northern goshawk, and a live golden eagle. If you love what you do, then you don't retire because you can't imagine not doing it anymore. It gives your life purpose. It's fulfilling to you. You know, why do I rescue sick, injured, and orphaned wildlife? It's just what I do. And basically, my concept of retirement, and I tell people this all the time, is they drop me in a hole 6 foot deep and they throw dirt on my face.